importance of site selection.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everybody, for coming today. I know we're almost through the day, and everybody's looking forward to their happy hour, so I will try to stay on time. My name's Gretchen. I'm the Director of Research and Education at CCMI in Little Cayman Island. And I'm going to talk to you today about some of the work that's been going on since around 2011 in Little Cayman, where we first initiated our nursery. So previously, when we started the nursery, there were hanging nurseries in 2 locations, in both shallow water and in deeper water. So the reef in Little Cayman, you can see that the lab is here, and then you have a back reef zone, which is primarily seagrass. There's a palmata zone here, and then hard pan before you get to spur and groove, and then that drops to a sheer wall. So we had our nursery sites originally in the hard pan area in the shallow reef, which was at roughly 30 feet. And then we had a deeper site, which was at 40 or 50 to 60 feet deep, which we called the deep reef. And some previous researchers at CCMI were able to document that there was actually faster growth and higher survival in that deep nursery site relative to the shallow nursery site. And so moving forward, we actually got rid of the shallow site and now have focused all of our energy into the deeper site. So our nursery now is located in 40 to 50 feet. You can get down to 60 feet in the sand if you really try. And so our nursery is something like this. We actually have 2 sites, an east site and a west site. And moving forward, our goal is really not to just continue to grow our nursery. The goal is to outplant these corals. Our main initiative is to increase the coral cover across Little Cayman. And so we've worked quite a lot with Anya Brown in the past, who has done some experiments looking at does the site where the coral came from impact the success of the outplanting. I mean, we didn't actually see any relationship with that. So moving forward, we then thought, well, maybe at these sites where we know that there is higher survival of outplants, potentially there's very small differences in site habitat that could result in different success. And so we went to these 3 locations along the north side of Little Cayman. I will say that Little Cayman is by definition little. As you can see, it's only 11 miles long. And actually 57% of the nearshore environment is protected as no-take zone. So it is quite an unusual place. There's only about 100 to 150 residents at any given time. And so the reef there is quite unique. So we decided to test 3 different locations in 2 different depths at each location, shallow and deep, shallow being 30 to 40 feet, deep being 70 to 80 feet. And so the first thing I want to note is that initially after outplanting, so we did the first outplant in April 2020. Oh, geez, Louise, already. Okay. The second, then we went back in 2021, again in 2022. We had relatively good survival, about 70% survival after 2 years. Between the 3 sites that we went to, we actually found that one site, Crystal Palace, did not do as well as the other 2 sites. And we don't really know why. All 3 are very close to one another. They all have about 30% coral cover. They are all relatively healthy. And then when we looked a little bit closer into the differences between depths, we found that after year 2, actually the deep sites did a little bit better than the shallow sites. So we saw this sharp decline between year 1 and year 2 at the shallow site that we didn't really see at the deep site. And the cause of that, which we've noted, is disease, so outbreaks of white band disease that were affecting corals both significantly in both years. And when we look at that between the 2 depths, we can see that there was actually a higher prevalence of disease in year 2, in particular in the shallow sites. So disease was really what's driving the loss of these shallow corals relative to the deep corals. And in particular, Icon Deep had the highest survival across all of these different sites and depths, and also had the lowest prevalence of disease across all sites and depths. And then finally, we did a health metric. So we just looked at diseased, healthy, or dead. And you can see that after year 2, if you look at the panel here on the right, which is the deep, that there is a larger percentage of healthy corals even into year 2 than there were in the shallow sites. And again, this is attributed to a high prevalence of disease that was impacting the shallow sites relative to the deep sites. So overall, this is indicating that disease is the main driver of the reasons that our outplants are not surviving, and there seems to be a reduced prevalence of disease at deeper sites than shallow sites, which may be temperature dependent. I will say we did not have hobo loggers on these sites, so I can't say definitively that it is a temperature-driven effect. But we are starting to find some cool things on our little Mars outplants, so we are finding little recruits now coming onto these just 2 years later, so that's always a good positive sign. And that's at the deep site as well. So that's it. So I'll leave it for some questions. 5 minutes is really fast.